Yes, good afternoon all. In the morning class, I mentioned about the different steps that are involved in database connectivity. So now I'll be dealing with what is called as result set metadata. Before I continue, there was a question by Aditi, if I'm not wrong, when I was ending the session. Aditi, I think you had asked me a question like, may I have your question back, Aditi? I think she has sent me the message in the WhatsApp. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I will read out what she has what she has sent. I'll read out, Aditi. Aditi, I'll read out. I think your voice is breaking. I'll read out. Okay. How is the while loop in the program you showed working on the last row in a table? Okay. So before I continue with the program, I will just go through what is called as result set and result set metadata. Then we will come back to the program. Okay. See, I had told in the morning also, don't concentrate on the whole of the program. Okay. I will cover the result set. Okay. So let me just go through the result set part. So result set, mainly it stores after the execute query. Say this I have already covered in the morning class. Execute query is for query is for select statement. Execute update is for update statements. Okay, be it update, be it grant, be it delete, okay, be it truncate, all those things will come in execute update. Now execute query will definitely result into a table of data. Okay, so this result set, it stores the data in the table format only. When I'm trying to extract the data from the table that I have selected, I need to have something called as metadata associated. But before I go into metadata, let me just cover up what is this result set, how this next will work. I think Aditi, then I'll answer to your question. Okay. So all these things, whatever I have written, this has already been covered. Just pay attention to the diagram that I have shown here. Look at the pointer pointing. Let me take a pen. 1 minute, I'll mark it. Look at the pointer where this pointer is pointing at the beginning of the result set. Whenever result set is created, the pointer always points to one row before the row 1. Aditi, please hear it very properly. The pointer always points to the one row before the current row. So if my row 1 is the start of the data, pointer will be pointing to 0th row. 0th row contains, what 0th row contains? The column headings. Okay, so always the pointer will be pointing to row 0, that is the column heading. So when I type rs.next, definitely it will fetch me the next row. Being in 0th row, it fetches first row. Being in first row, fetches second row. Being in second row, fetches third row, so on. This is how the last row getting managed. I hope I have answered your question, Aditi. Yes, Aditi, can you hear me? Yes, thank you. Now, according to this, we will just follow up. The same thing has been explained in the slides that follow. The cursor or the pointer always will be pointing to 0th row at the beginning. So when you call next function of rs result set, it always points to the current allocations next row. So being in 0th row, I will extract the data of first row. Being in first row, so on. Okay. Then I have one special function called as delete row function. This is specifically available in result set interface. This talks about deleting a particular row to which the current pointer is pointing. Oh, if suppose I call rs.delete row at the beginning, then it will do headings, whatever available, they will be deleted. The deletion is happening for the result set, not the source. Do you remember in the morning, Irana had asked me a question, where is the source of the data? I'll show you that source of data creation, then I'll show you back the program. Okay. So when I call initially itself rs.delete row, the delete row will delete the 0th row's content in the result set, not in the source. Because from the source, I would have extracted the data, and that extracted data is stored locally in the program that I am running right now. Source is unchanged. If you want to change any source, any data of the source, you have to query. You have to pass the query to that. Until and unless the query is supplied, the source will not be changed. I hope I am clear with this. When I write delete row is called on the result set, not on the source. Please be very clear about it. Suppose that I have called rs.next, I have called rs.next 2 times. So where the pointer will be, can you quickly comment? I have called rs.next 2 times. Where the pointer will be? I'm waiting for your comments. Yep. I'm unable to hear you. You can comment, please. I've called rs.next 2 times. Row 2. Yes, it is row 2. Yeah. Why it is row 2? Because once rs.next is called, it points to row 1. Second time when I call, it points to row 2. Okay. Being in row 2, I have the accessibility to row 3. Okay. I have the accessibility to row 3. So being in row 2, if I call delete row, so the row getting deleted is second, not the third. Because when I'm fetching the data, I'll be fetching 1 row ahead. But when I'm deleting, I will delete the row right now where the pointer is pointing. This is how delete and fetch are different. How do I fetch the data? See, there is a function called as get object. I have mentioned it in the morning. Get object. When I write get object, it will point to each column of that particular row and go on selecting the contents of that particular row. So of course, I require for loop for that. Okay, you have seen in the morning, I had a while loop, I had a for loop, then I had called get object. Okay, I'll show you the program again. So whether this is clear, this part is clear, can I proceed ahead? I'll go to metadata now. Okay. Let me just go to result set metadata. This is mainly useful to get the informations like how many number of columns are there, what is the name of each of the column, what is the data type of each of the column, what is the name of the table into which I am querying right now. Okay, all such things are being taken care by metadata. So metadata mainly focuses on the clearance, like the associated properties that better explains the table or the database. Okay, so when I'm querying a particular table, whenever you want to query, you have to query a particular table in the database. You cannot query on a database as a whole because database contains hundreds of tables in it. If you want to query, you have to query a particular table. So when you pass a query to a table, that table in that database gets selected. And accordingly, in that table, how many columns are there? In that table, what is the heading of each column? In that table, what is the data type of each of the column? In that table, what is the kind of the table that you have generated? See, all these information are available as part of what is called as metadata. I think probably when you learn HTML, CSS, all those things, web technologies, these metadata will come into picture. Okay, probably you have heard this for the first time. That's why I'm just giving you these information. Okay, so I have functions like get metadata, and there is another function called get object. how they are useful. This get metadata, it mainly talks about currently on whatever result set I have got. After querying, I would have got a result set. That result set's metadata I'm trying to extract. So metadata may be table heading, it may be number of columns, it may be the content of that particular row, particular column. So all those things are made available by using what is called as metadata. Is it okay? Can I proceed ahead? Comment please, so that I can proceed ahead. Yeah, thank you. Now, so according to these discussions, I will just go back to the program that I have shown you. Okay. Now what I have done for convenience, I have written one more program. Okay. I think morning somebody had asked me a question. Can we use register, unregister? Okay. Just see this line of code. Just see this line of code. 1 minute, I have to unlock the Meet. Then I'll share it back. Okay. Yeah. So, for those who have not attended my morning class, probably all of you have attended, but anyways, I'll just brush up the thing that I have spoken about. In the morning, I mentioned that driver manager has 4 different functionalities. First, to register a driver. Second, to unregister a driver. Third, to get connected to a particular driver. Okay, in that to a particular database, and then get disconnected, that is close the connection. So those 4 functionalities, among them I had addressed only getting the connection and getting closed. Okay, now I'm showing you how do you register, how do you definitely unregister. Okay, so look at this line of code. Driver manager dot register driver, this I have mentioned in the morning class. Okay, in bracket I have written the URL or the URL of the driver with which I can get the accessibility to that driver. Do you remember in the previous example that I had shown? I'll just switch my navigation window to the previous example that I have shown. Just see, in this example I have commented already. You can either use class.forName or you can go for register driver. Both are allowed. Both are allowed. See, if you use a class.forName, it means that already the driver that you are getting associated with, that has been registered by default. By default, you need not register it explicitly. Okay, whenever you install any driver, MySQL driver, when I install, definitely it will be associated with the driver that is needed. Okay, so the registering process, it is not required every time. It is not required every time since it has been already done when I install it. Okay, then what is the way out? Either you can go for this kind of thing or you can use the register driver. So first in the morning I have told you class.forName in bracket the driver path that is required that you have to give. And what is the path? I'll just go up and show you the path. com.mysql.jdbc.driver. Accordingly, I have passed that path to the class.forName. See, there are 2 ways to get connected to the particular driver. One, you pass the name of the class for the class.forName, the path of the class, or you can call register driver. You can call register driver under driver manager and pass the new instance of the driver that you want to get associated. Both are allowed. Okay, I'll show the other part also again. Please pay attention towards this. Look at this, how it has been written. Since you are creating a new instance of the driver, you are calling the constructor of the driver using new. But you are giving the whole path because it is on the web space. Okay. I hope this is clear for you. Can I proceed ahead? Okay, thank you. Now, so in this program, I have just shown you how the metadata works. I'll just go ahead. Can I skip these lines? Because these lines I've already explained in the morning class. So I'll just skip this line. Using the DB URL, I will get connected. I'll get connected using the root as a password, root as a username and password nil. Okay. Then I have simply printed connection established. And the difference between the previous example and the current example. Previous example, I had written try and catch block. Here, I have removed that. Why? Because I have explicitly written throws SQL exception. I did mention in a single statement in the morning class. Okay, either you have to write this or you can put it in try catch block. Then, once the connection is established, please remember the steps that I have talked about. I have done step 1 to get connected to a particular driver. Step 2, getting connected to a particular database through the proper username and password. 2 things I have done. What is the third step? Can anybody comment quickly? What's the third step? Yes, next step is the statement. Third step is the creation of the statement using the connection object that was generated in the second step. So have a look at this line of code. Statement stmt equal to using the connection object that got generated in second step dot create statement or prepared statement. I have mentioned both will work. Okay. Then I have written purposely the query separately and using a variable query. This variable I will pass to the execute query. Okay, so using the statement object, I have to call execute query and pass select star from book info. Instead of passing the whole thing, I have stored that string into a separate string called as query, and that I have passed as a parameter to the execute query. Now, this execute query generates what is called as result set. This is what I was speaking about. Okay, and there is an object of result set by name rs. Next, I'll use the metadata in order to have the details of the number of columns that are available. I just want to print while printing the headings of each of the columns, and I just want to print the table name in bolded format. Okay, all those things can be done by using what is called as get metadata. Okay, how that has to be done? Please pay attention to this line of code which I have marked. Okay, see till now what I have done? I have connected myself to the driver to which I want to supply the query. Then I have called the mediator. Who is the mediator? Driver manager, to get connected to a particular database in that driver. Second step I have done. Third step, I have created a statement in order to have a statement handler or object which supplies the query to either execute query or execute update. Then the fourth step, I have called execute query because I'm using select query here. If I have a question for you. If I have a query to delete, what should be the function name that I have to call? Quickly. Right now I have select star from, so I have called execute query. If I have a query to delete a particular row, then what should be the function that I need to call? Yes? Okay, execute update. Okay. Now, when I have all these things stored as part of result set, now I will use what is called as result set metadata in order to have various information as I mentioned in my presentation. Okay. Now, that has created a handler or object. Okay. Now using this object, just give attention to the kinds of the function calls that are done. Get a table name. It will give me the name of the table which has the column 1. Okay, what is the name of the column? Column 1. What is the type of the column 1? Okay, if I change it to 2, it will give me the name of the column 2. If I change it to 2, it will give me the type of the column 2. Okay, then you people had asked me, how do I create these databases? Okay, let me run this program for you first. Just have a look at this. I hope this is visible to you. Okay, output over here, it is showing me table name. What is the name of the table? Then what is the name of the column? Because I have given index as 1, it is giving me the column heading of 1, first column. Similarly, what is the data type of the data that is stored in that column? Since I have given 1 as the parameter, it will give me the type of first column data. If I change it to 2, it will give me 2. Okay. Now, I'll just go back to what is called as WAMP server. Have you any time used WAMP server? Please let me know. Any time used WAMP server?
Yes, ma'am.
Used. Who is speaking?
Anant, ma'am.
Anant. Okay, you have used. Aditi has commented you're not used. Okay, no. So I'll show you from the beginning. Like you first of all you have to get it installed. Okay. When you double click on this, it will create a small icon in the it will create a small icon. In that, if you click on the WAMP server icon, there is an option called as phpMyAdmin. Okay, so in that phpMyAdmin, you can have the creation of the new database that you want to create. Okay, let me close the previous version. So in this, if I want to create a new database, its home page itself will ask you create new database. Okay, the cursor where I have placed, it is asking for creation of the new database. So let's say I have already created book-DB, which has book info as one of the tables. Now what I will do, I'll create a table, database by name student-DB. Okay. It has created. Now in this student DB, you want to create a new table. Okay, say let me include student info as a table name. Let me have a number of fields, say 4. Okay, then hit enter. It will ask for the details of each and every field in that student info. Okay, say let me write the first field as ID and let it be int only, then name. Then I will give the type as varchar. Then I'll give semester, let it be int. Then I'll give CGPA. Okay, that CGPA is a real number. Okay, so once you create all these things and hit on save, just 1 minute, this is not a number. Numeric, it has to be float. Okay, then save it. Sorry, just 1 minute. I'm sorry, for varchar you have to give the length, say 40. Okay, now this has created your table. You can populate this table by giving the information that you want. Okay, now if you want to insert, click on insert. Okay, you can just pass in the values that you want to insert. For example, 1, name is say ABC, semester 5, say CGPA is 8.7. Okay, then if you click on go, it will insert one new entry into it, and if you click on student info, it will show you the one that is inserted right now. Okay, I think in DBMS you are writing queries for all these things. Okay, the same thing has been provided in phpMyAdmin, drag and drop kind of things. Okay, the queries that you have written can be done by using the click of mouse. That's it. Okay, Irana, I think I have answered to your question. Morning, you had asked me this question. I have shown you how to do that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Now I'll just go back to the program that I was showing in the morning. I'll just go back to the select query that I had written. Now, let me stop this 1 minute. Okay. Now, what I have done, I'll just go from the first line of code to the last line of code. Now you will understand it much better. I have created a driver, okay, a string constant by name db underscore driver. Then I have db underscore URL, okay, and I have supplied the name of the database to which you want to get connected. Then I have created all the objects, connection objects, statement object, result set metadata object. All I have done at a time. Okay, this is called declaration part. Now, since I have not used throws there, I have written try and catch block. Inside the try block, I have written class.forName of db underscore driver, because for name expects the class which you want to load as the driver class. Then once you have loaded, use a driver manager dot get connection and pass the database URL as the first parameter. Second parameter being the username for your WAMP server when you load. Okay. Then password, if you have given, it will ask for the password at the beginning. If not given, it will never ask for the password. Okay. So for my driver that I have installed, I am not given any password. That's why I have kept it blank. If you have given password, please give that password here. Then next thing is, using the connection object, I have called create statement. Then for the execute query, I have passed select star from book info. Now my RS has result set data that need to be converted into metadata. How I have to do? I have to do by get metadata calling on result set object. Okay, get metadata on the result that is stored in RS. It will fetch me all the details that are required, and I have an object for that. Already I have created that. Okay, next, once I have done this, I want to know how many columns are there, because I have to navigate through the table until I reach those many number of columns in each row. That's why I require number of columns. How can I get that? I have an inbuilt function called as get column count. It will result or return an integer that talks about number of columns, and I have saved it in number of columns variable. Now using this, I will print initially the headings of the columns. Then I'll print the content of it. Okay. So this for loop is mainly meant for, printing the column headings, because get column name will fetch me the column headings. Get column name of I equal to 1, I less than equal to number of columns. For those many number of columns, I have to repeat. Okay, every time it prints the column heading, and you know already what is this percentage minus 30s useful for. Can anybody quickly comment on this? C program it is. What is this useful for? I'm waiting for your comments.
Mom, it will give much character space to that string, mom.
Yeah, trailing spaces, it has been given by Varun. 30 spaces are specified for that field. Okay, in order to have a proper placement done, like look properly, okay, look and feel kind of thing, in order to provide, I will supply this. You can vary this as you want. Okay, now once I have printed the column heading, I have just printed one new line just for the sake. See, if you take println here only, you cannot use the spacing. That's why I had taken printf. I hope you are clear with the kind of functions that I have used. Okay. Printf allows me to have format specifiers. Println doesn't allow me to have the format specifiers. Then definitely that spacing will not be available. Okay. So in order to have the spacing, I have used printf, and every time after all the columns are done, only then I have to give the new line. That's why a blank println I have taken. Next, obviously the thing that I have discussed, rs.next, while rs.next, until I have a next row, I have to continue this. This is for the row, this for loop is for the column. It is as good as two-dimensional array. The outer loop is for the row, the inner for loop is for the column. In each row, I have to go on for each column. Okay, for each column, what I need to do? I need to print the object currently that is available in that ith column. And after giving that, you have to give a space, maintain that proper spacing. Okay, and as soon as this inner loop ends, I have ended that particular row, all the columns in that particular row. So give a new line. The same thing we had done when we were writing multiplication table printing in the matrix, sorry, printing matrix in the matrix format. We had done the same thing. The same thing has been done here. Outer loop is for row, inner loop is for the columns. And after each row has been ended, you have to give a new line before going for the next row. Okay. I hope this program is clear for you now. Please comment quickly. Okay. Thank you. So I'll just show you one more program and then we will end the session. Up to this part, you will have the portion for your IA. You want me to show delete or insert? What do you want to show? What do you want me to show?
Insert.
Insert. Okay. I'll be sharing all these programs to you. Don't worry about that. Okay. Yes, the same things are being carried out initially, no change in that. I'll just directly go to the insert query. Okay. Now, just have a look at this. Before inserting, you just have to ask from the user what you want to insert. That is what is being done. In the book database, I'll just go back to the book database. Let me just go back to book database. And let me show you what is there in book info. Book info has ID, title, author, edition and publisher. So accordingly, I need information about all these things. So I will ask from the user what is the ID that with which you want to store. Then I will ask the title, then I will ask for the author, then the edition, then the publisher. Okay, using the simple scanner class, I have accepted the details from the user. Then I will write the query for insert into. So how this has been written? I have created a separate variable in order to have a lesser complication in execute update, okay, or execute query. Now double quotes, please have a proper look at where I'm ending double quotes, where I'm starting double quotes. This may pose you a lot of problems otherwise if not done properly. Insert into book info, then I have ended the double quotes. Okay, I've just made sure that they are being concatenated properly. See, these all things are in one line. Next, all things are in one line. Only for that reason I have done this concatenation. Okay, now double quotes has been started. Bracket, ID, title, author, edition, publisher. This is the order in which the values have to be supplied after the keyword values. Okay, so then bracket close, double quotes complete, plus values. Actually, if I remove this, just 1 minute. If I remove this, just 1 minute. Array. If I remove this, it works fine, not an issue. Okay, only for the sake that it has to appear properly in one after the other line, I have given that. Okay, so look at this. At this point, I have started a bracket for values. Have you written insert query before in DBMS? Please let me know. Only then you will understand it. You have written. Okay. Now, inside the values, now just have a look at this. This order has to match with the one which you have read. Okay. First thing is ID. So I have read the ID from the user and stored it in a variable BID. Okay. That BID I'm supplying. Then comma is part of the query. BID is a variable name. Variable name need not be inside double quotes. That's why I have ended double quotes and added a concatenation. Similar to sum is equal to double quotes complete plus sum we write now. Similar to that I have done it here. Double quotes complete plus then BID. But my values have not yet ended. So what I will do, I will concatenate again and start double quotes again. Give a comma. Okay. Then before going for the next value, next value is title and it is a string. String cannot be passed as usual. Okay. As I passed BID, I cannot pass T as usual. What I need is after comma, I require a single quote telling that it is a string that I am supplying, not double quotes, please. It is single quote. Okay. So what I have done after comma, single quote I have started. This is start of the single quote. Then I have ended double quote because I am supposed to write a variable name. Okay. Then concatenate that with the variable name T. So it is as good as T in single quote initially. Single quote T. It is as good as. Then I have to end the single quotes. So plus again, start the double quotes. This is end of T, comma. Then I have author again. That is single quote for author. End the double quotes again. Plus the name of the variable A. Plus double quote started. Then this is end of A, comma. E is addition is integer. That's why I will write it without writing the single quote. Plus E, comma. Publisher is again a string. That's why comma, single quote starting. Then write P, plus again double quote started. End of single quote, bracket close. This is end of the double quotes that I have started here. So this is how you are writing your insert query and storing that as part of SQL1. This is a variable which I will pass it for execute query function. Okay, then using this, okay, I have written this for prepared statement that I will discuss after your IA. Now don't worry about that. I have commented that. Okay, now next thing that I'm doing using the statement object. Okay, I have called execute update and passed the query that I have saved. Okay, now have a look at this. It has resulted into integer result. Previously, I was talking for result set. It was a collection of objects. Now it returns either 1 or 0. Either 1 or 0. So if this execute update has given me back more than 0, a value greater than 0, it means that it has inserted successfully. Otherwise, it has resulted into an error. Okay, so execute update returns me an integer which talks about success or failure. Any positive number, it's a success. A 0, it leads to what is called as not inserted. So I will check if result greater than 0, then I will print inserted. Next thing what I have done is I have repeated the thing that I was using in select. Okay, in order to have the newly updated things also getting displayed, I have written select query again. Okay, I have simply copied and pasted that here. Nothing else I have done. So I will save this and run it. Okay, it is asking me for book ID. Suppose let me say 6. Book title say AOOP. Okay, enter author, say, okay, let me give my name, Indira. Edition, 5th edition. Publisher, PMH. Enter. See, after insertion of the new entry, it is printing me the things. This is my extra added data. So, any doubt at this point? Please let me know from your end. No doubts? Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah,
Ma'am, I have one doubt.
yeah.
Ma'am, in the last program, while printing that statement, you have used percentages, right? Even though the data type may be int float, but
Whatever it is, it will be printed as string only. It will treat
okay,
result set metadata. It will treat every column content as string itself.
okay, fine. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other doubts? Good question, Varshini. Okay. Any other doubts? I will simply scan through other programs for you. Okay. I'll just go to delete. I'm left out with exactly 5 minutes. I'll just go through the things. See this query I have written for delete from book info where ID is equal to 5. You have seen there are 6 books right now. If I run this program, okay, if I run this program, 1, 2, 3, 4 are there, 6 has been printed, 5 has been removed. Okay, this is for delete query. You can even go for modifying this like this. You want to delete by ID, you want to delete by title, you want to delete by author, all modifications you can do. See, whatever you have read from the user, that you can pass it over here in the where clause. Okay, then you can call select star from. Whatever updated things are there, that gets printed. Then the last one, the update. If you want to update anything in any one of the data, okay, say book info set edition is equal to say 6 where ID is equal to 6. Okay, edition let me write as 8 where ID is equal to 6. Let me run this. Okay, just pay attention. I had given the edition as 5. Now it got updated to 8. Okay, any doubts? If not, I will end the session and I'll be sharing all these programs to you. And somebody had also sent me a message, please load previous class video. Definitely, I'll be loading previous class video. Today's 2 classes, all 3 I'll be updating in my Google Classroom. Okay, by tomorrow morning, because today I have a 3rd semester lab in the afternoon, it will go up to 5 o'clock. So please wait till tomorrow morning. I'll be updating all the videos as well as all the programs. So shall we stop at this moment?